shlokas we have for today. Api ched asi papebhya sarvebhya papakritamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santa rishyasi. Api ched asi papebhya sarvebhya papakritamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva Vrijinam santarishyasi. Translation: even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Any Mataji, I welcome you to read this shloka once. Anybody wants to read this?
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please go ahead. Yeah, read it.
Bhagavad-gītā 4.36 Api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakritamaha sarvajnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Let us see 4.37 also. Yataidamsi samiddhognir bhashmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhashmasat kurute tata. Yataidhamsi samidhoagnir bhashmasat kurute arjuna Jnanagni sarva karmani bhashmashat kurute tata. Translation: as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Can I request anyone? Can you please read this once for me? Devotees, anyone can just volunteer to read the sloka once. It's a very nice sloka.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Please, Mataji. Yeah.
Yataidhamsi samidhognismarasa kurute achune jnanagni sarvakarmani basmasat kurute tatha. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. So, Krishna is talking about the transcendental knowledge. He started talking about transcendental knowledge, and he is glorifying this great transcendental knowledge. He's explaining Arjuna and also to every one of us through him about the results of transcendental knowledge. In this first shloka 36, what is he saying? Api. He started with api. Api ched, even if. So, asi papebhya, the most sinful among all the sinners. Asi papebhya, the grave sinners on sinners, like most sinful person among all sinners. What is he saying? Sarvebhya papakritamaha. Yeah, the most sinful among all the sinners. Asi papebhyo sarvebhya papakritamaha. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva. If you are situated in the boat of jnana, the transcendental knowledge, when one is situated in the boat of jnana, then what happens to him? Vrijignam santarishyasi. He can cross the ocean of miseries and sins very easily, very easily. Here we have to understand Krishna is glorifying very beautifully. He's just saying about the transcendental knowledge. He glorifies the transcendental knowledge very beautifully. When one has the transcendental knowledge, what happens? He is free from all sins. That's what he's saying. But here we should understand why Krishna has started this sloka with apiched, even if. He's starting this sloka with that. And let us just see. He has told us why Krishna is mentioning here about sinful among the sinners. And like we have three questions over here. So Krishna is saying sinful among the sinners. So the worst sinful person. So if that person is so sinful, then how is he going to get purified? So that is the first question. And then, without purification, there is no point of getting the transcendental knowledge, right? It doesn't make sense. Without purification happening, then that person cannot obtain the transcendental knowledge. And the third one is, if he doesn't have the transcendental knowledge, he cannot act in his proper position. These are the three questions which we have. So Krishna is talking about, he says, most sinful of all the sinners. So he's talking that, and how come these three things are going to happen? If he's so more sinful, most sinful, then he cannot be purified. If he's not purified, then there is no chance of attaining the transcendental knowledge. If he's not having the transcendental knowledge, then he cannot act in his proper position. So now we have to understand why Krishna has started this with Apiched. He's telling here that he is glorifying transcendental knowledge. He's telling that even if this hypothetical situations are there, like all these three, most sinful person he's being, and then how is he getting purified? Without getting purified, like all these things, transcendental knowledge cannot come. So Krishna is saying, more, even if this type of hypothetical situations are there, oh Arjuna, if one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, then he gets completely purified. So that's what Krishna started with Apiched, because he knows how to say that if he thinks that he wants, he has to glorify that, then he will do it in certain way. So very beautifully Krishna wanted to glorify the transcendental knowledge. That's why he said, even if the most sinful among all the sinners, even for them, if that person is situated in jnana, the transcendental knowledge, then he can cross the ocean of all miseries and sins. So that glorious is the transcendental knowledge. In this material world, Krishna is saying, like in the purport, Prabhupada is very nicely explaining us. This material world is like a blazing fire, right? Imagine just standing in between the forest fire or the blazing fire around us. We will not have any clue where the fire started and where it is ending. We will be stuck in between the fire, and we don't know where the fire has started. So it is something like that. This material life, this life is something like a forest fire, blazing fire. It is full of miseries. We don't know where the miseries are coming from, but still it comes to us. But there are suffering everywhere in everything. So we don't know where it started, like the forest blazing fire, right? And this material life is also compared to the ocean. It's a sagara. It is ocean of birth and death. It is very, very difficult to cross over. If we imagine a person getting drowned in the middle of an ocean, where he doesn't have any clue of land, on all his four directions he's seeing, he will not have any clue of a single piece of land from the place where he's seeing. He can be a very great swimmer, but still it is very, very difficult to for him to come out of that drowning. However far, however fast he can swim, but still he cannot reach the banks, what do you call, he cannot reach the shore. So that tough is the samsara sagara, that tough is this ocean of birth and death. In this drowning ocean, when when a small boat, imagine a small boat coming, then how do you feel, right? It is something like a it is something like great savior, right? Great savior. When the boat is coming to save us from drowning, we feel that that boat is a great savior. So in the life, in our real life, in this material life, what is the savior, what is the boat which is like which the person who is drowning thinks like the super savior, great savior? In our real life, the lotus feet of the Lord is the boat, is the super savior in for us who is drowning in this material ocean of birth and death. So when we catch hold of the lotus feet of the Lord, what happens is this this entire ocean, which is so huge and unimaginable, this entire ocean just becomes like a small puddle, which is equal to the hoof of the calf, that it becomes so small, which is easy to just cross. But that will happen only when one takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So therefore, when anyone attains the lotus feet of the Lord, when anyone attains, that person will have the perfect knowledge, and he will be in the transcendental platform. So that platform is reached only when that surrender mode is there, only when that person catch holds of the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the great savior. Here the boat is Krishna. That is what it is. The savior boat is very, very blissful. That's what Prabhupada very nicely explains in the purport. The savior boat, the lotus feet of Krishna, when someone catches hold of Krishna's lotus feet, it is very, very sublime and very, very blissful. That is how bhakti is. Bhakti, devotional service. Bhakti is not just devotion, it is devotional service. That is why bhakti is always blissful, and it is not very complicated as so many people in this material world think. It is very, very simple. Bhakti, following devotional service, doing, rendering devotional service is very, very simple. When we chant attentively every day, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant the holy names very attentively, and when we hear to the chanting, and when we are rendering devotional service, like how, like hearing to the pastimes of the Lord, shravanam, hearing to Bhagavad-gītā classes like this every day, you all are doing very nicely. And then listening to the pastimes, reading scriptures, everything, all these habits, this devotional service will make a person to feel sublime, very happy. That's what, like Mahaprabhu just sings Anandambudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. Because like when we are practicing this bhakti, this devotional service, it is like the mercy of the Supreme Lord Krishna flows very nicely through the bona fide spiritual master. So that when a person gets this, when a person gets this, comes to this platform, then he has self realization. Every day what he realizes is something magical. He realizes every day some new things, because the mercy is flowing very nicely from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the spiritual master. So when that happens, the person is always blissful. Every day he is very happy. He is relishing the bliss of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, the process of bhakti is very, very simple. We are the person who are making it more and more complex, because we are not taking things as it is. As it is said in Shastras, if we are able to accept it, then it is very simple. Life becomes very simple. Following bhakti becomes very simple. Everyone has to do that. An intelligent person has to do that. But rather than doing that, a lot of people in this Kali Yuga tries trying to concoct their own ideas into that. They are the people who are making things, the simple things, very complicated. So if when we don't do like that and take it as it is and follow, then bhakti becomes very, very simple. So in this way, Krishna glorifies the transcendental knowledge. When a person reaches that platform, then he is being purified from all the grateful sins also, and he becomes eligible, and it is very easy for him to cross the ocean of miseries. And finally, what is his destination? Back home to Godhead, breaking the cycle of birth and death. Krishna continues glorifying this transcendental knowledge in shloka 37 also. Let us see what he's saying there. Here he says, Yatai damsi samidhognir. Yatai, as what he says, samiddo agnir, samiddo agnir, like the blazing fire. Damsi bhashmashat kurute Arjuna. As the blazing forest fire turns, when the fire comes, it turns all the woods, right, wild woods into complete, whatever wild they may be, it just turns everything into just ashes. So let us see what Krishna is comparing this with. As the blazing fire turns all the wild wood into complete ashes, Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna is comparing that to Jnana Agni, Sarva Karmani. Similarly, the Jnana Agni, fire of knowledge, is comparing very nicely. Fire of knowledge. Similarly, the fire of knowledge is burning all the reactions. That is the beauty Krishna says here. Here, the Jnanagni is burning all the reactions into ashes. Like what? The blazing forest fire burns completely the wild woods into ashes. This Jnana Agni is completely burning. What it is burning? All the reactions, Krishna is saying. Let us see how he is glorifying here the transcendental knowledge. What is the meaning of burning all the reactions? Let us go in depth with this. Burning all the reactions. What is Krishna referring here? So first of all, we all know we are coming through all these Bhagavad-gītā classes. So we all will be having the idea of Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, Krishna is referring as here the fire of knowledge, right? So what is the perfect knowledge? What is the perfect knowledge? Jnana Yoga. In this, what is the knowledge? It is the knowledge of the self and the knowledge of the Paramatma, super soul. This is what it is. But when it is Bhakti Yoga, one more important element is added to that. What is that? Yes, we know that we are Atma, we are knowledge of the self, and we know Paramatma also. The one important thing which is added in this bhakti is the relationship between the Atma and the Paramatma. So this is what is bhakti means, devotional service. Bhakti is not just devotion, it is devotional service. It is very, very a very, very beautiful thing and very nice thing. So we should understand, okay, I am Atma and we know Paramatma, and we should understand the relationship between the Atma and Paramatma. And when we know that we are part and parcel of Krishna, then we should have that understanding of, okay, we what is our goal then, being part and parcel of Krishna. Then what should be our goal? We have to serve the Krishna, we have to serve the Lord. Then we are the servants of the Lord. That is the understanding we should have. That is what Krishna is saying, fire of knowledge. When it is comparing that knowledge, knowing Paramatma and Atma and the relationship, and knowing that you are part and parcel of Krishna, and your goal is to serve the Lord. So knowing this knowledge, Krishna is comparing that as a fire. When one has that fire, then this helps that person to get liberated from the cycle of birth and death. And what is the goal? To break this cycle, right? Of course, to break this cycle and go back home to Godhead and serve Krishna for his pleasure. So that is the goal. So when one has this fire, when one has this fire of knowledge, then what Krishna says, it just burns all the reactions as a fire. Okay, breaking the cycle of birth and death, that goal is there. But let us just talk in depth. From time immemorial, we have been doing lot of activities, right? We don't know how many births we have taken, and how many life we are going through again and again and again. We don't know, only Krishna knows. So from time immemorial, like, we have been doing lots of activities. For each and every activity there is reaction, right? For pious activity, what we do also, we have pious credits. And for sinful activities also, we have sinful credits stored, right? So with that, we take an other birth for suffering the sinful credits, or for enjoying the pious credit. So this keeps on going on and on and on. So we are like, for every activity we are having reactions. So we have to talk about the reactions over here, what Krishna is telling. So what happens is, if a person has to get liberated, we are like going on and on and on. We are doing actions, the reactions are coming. Pious credits and sinful credits, everything is coming. So now, if a person has to get liberated and go back home to Godhead, what should be there? There should be the credits, right? The punya and the papa credits, everything should be a zero, right? So when will it be a zero? When, how can it be a zero? Always there we are doing some actions, and there is reactions for everything, right? When will this pious credits also will be zero? And when will the what do you call, sinful credits also be zero? Let us see here. Prabhupada is explaining very nicely here in this. The fire not, yeah, the fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities. We are talking about when will the reactions be zero, right? But also all reactions to pious activity, turning them to ashes. All the impious activity, unpious activity will turn to ashes. By what? By the jnana, by the fire, by the fire of jnana. So with that, all these pious activities and also the sinful and impious activities are turning to ashes. So we let us just like understand this four type of reactions what a person is having. So in the past life, when he does some sins, there are some sinful reactions, right? It is something like a bank balance what he has. And then he takes another birth. Then in the next life, what happens actually is this reaction, what he got because of his sinful action is being stored in his bank account. It is being stored. It is not still withdrawn. It is just like a storage. It is being stored. It is not being withdrawn. Now he's taking a birth again, the next life he's getting into. So a part of this stored reaction, which we call, which is stored, is called unmanifested reaction. It is being stored, nothing is being taken. But when he takes birth, a part of that unmanifested reaction, which is called aprarabdha becomes prarabdha karma. I think you all are on the same page with me. So the part of the aprarabdha karma comes as prarabdha karma, and then he takes birth. So this is called the manifested reactions. This prarabdha karma is the manifested reactions. So it is something like withdrawing a certain amount of money from the bank account, but still we have left some. So remember that, right? So now what happens, the example here is this, like a part of the unmanifested aprarabdha karma is being manifested now. This is prarabdha karma. So how is that? We are going to give an example. How is that prarabdha karma? It is something like one takes birth, and death. He has the death, and there are a lot of things in between the birth and death. So it is something like this prarabdha karma. It is not deciding each and every step of the life from the birth to death. It is something like the junctions are set, the situations are created. So the junctions are set, like what type of wealth he will get, what type of career or something like that, what the spouse, what that person is getting, the children's, and all these things are set. It is something like the junctions, and we have to understand that each and every step is not decided by the prarabdha karma. It is only the situations are created based on the prarabdha karma. So this is only the junctions. We can all say, right? No, every step, maybe it has been decided by the prarabdha karma, that's why we are going like this. No, it is not like that. If everything is being decided, then we are like robots. We are not like robots. Krishna has given us a small free will, right? So these are the junctions based on our own wish, based on our own free will. We decide on the path which we have to take. Krishna is giving us lot of options. So based on our free will, we are deciding on that, and we are reaching the junctions and going from there and getting the next cycle of karma reactions ready. We are making the next cycle of reactions ready. So that is how the prarabdha karma. But still the aprarabdha karma, which is there, which is the bank balance, which is not taken, right? That let us talk about. That aprarabdha karma, prarabdha karma, unmanifested reaction, that is like again divided into two. They are kutam and bijam. Kutam is like the tendency. For example, in the last life, when a person is drunken, or maybe he was involved in a lot of illicit activities, because of that, that will carry forward to his next life also. So that tendency will be there in that person from the childhood. And when he becomes more and more when that person reaches to adulthood, then the desires come up. The tendency is there. That is the kutam. That is the kutam. So that because of the tendency, and when that stage comes, then the desires just come up. That is bijam. So when the desires come up, then he just goes and drinks, right? Till that certain period, that tendency was there, that kutam, because of the kutam of the aprarabdha karma was there. And then when the time comes, he will just go and do it. It is the same with the people who are very much into that lusty thing. When they have that lusty the behavior in the last previous birth, that tendency will be there in that person, and that which is like a kutam will manifest at that when the right time comes, will manifest into bijam, and then they will do it. So that is what this four reactions. So what are the four reactions? Aprarabdha karma, prarabdha karma, and kutam and bijam. So what is Krishna talking here? Why did we discuss this? Like, so that we will understand how grave is the reactions are. So Krishna is talking here. Let us just, yeah, there are many stages of reactions. There are many stages of reaction. Reaction in the making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. Priori. But knowledge of constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. That is the beauty here. So Krishna mentions, when the person have that knowledge, Krishna is glorifying. When the person has that knowledge, it is like the what do you call, it is like the fire. When the person has that fire of knowledge, then all the reactions are just like burnt into ashes. So Krishna very nicely glorifies the transcendental knowledge in these two shlokas, and he's further continuing the glories of the transcendental knowledge. It's so nice to hear that, and it is like a nectar. So we all should take this simple procedure. Bhakti is very simple, so we all also have to follow that very seriously and sincerely. Chanting, that helps. Whenever we just chant seriously and attentively, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then like automatically we are in that transcendental platform, and everything, all the graveyard sins are also burnt into ashes, and all the reactions of all the activities are also burnt. So Krishna very nicely explains this, and let us eagerly wait for the next shloka where Krishna is like glorifying more and more about this transcendental knowledge. So today's the second section of this Narsimha program.